Hi, I'm Alan Morales, and welcome to the Deep Dive with the Newport Beach Film Festival.
Sometimes it's nice to remember you're good at something. This was the first pinball machine I'd found in the city. It never even occurred to me that the game was illegal. I just knew I needed to play.
Today we're interviewing the Bragg brothers, directors and co-writers of Pinball, the man who saved the game.
Hey, thank you
for having us.
Production was set to begin in October 2021. What was the process like in filming?
It was, the COVID was still around for sure. So we did a lot of precautions taken. We shot for about 21 days, I think. So, and it was really good and positive. I don't know. This is a fun, hopefully a fun movie about pinball. So we wanted to make sure the set was fun and felt good. We shot 10-hour days. I think there was one day where we went over about 45 minutes due to stuff, beyond our control. But I mean, the crew was fantastic and great. And we were always, very careful to know these people were putting in their time to be on this, low budget indie. I mean, it's a tier 0 period piece. That's not easy to pull off. So there were challenges, and we definitely had to make, pivot a couple times and make some adjustments. But nothing that felt like hurt the story, which was great. That's always the key, is while you're shooting and production, things come up during production that you could never have anticipated. And it's just beholden on us to make sure that we protect the story and keep it going. And everyone was on board, the crew, the cast. It's kind of lovely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously things get stressful anytime you're shooting a feature, but we had a great time.
So what message do you hope your film conveys to audiences?
I mean, there's a number of messages, right? I mean, part of it is about the importance of taking a risk in your life and not playing it safe. Putting yourself out there. There's obvious messages about commitment, how commitment can be the most rewarding risk you can take in your life. Then there's messages about the obvious stuff, the surface stuff about this, old laws getting in the way of life and fun, and how these things sort of sit on the books for years and nobody thinks to go and look at these old laws and maybe rethink them as time goes on. And that, it takes somebody dedicated to standing up and going after them.
What did you admire most about the subjects of your film?
Yeah, I would say with Roger, from the first phone call and definitely all the phone calls after that, he was so incredibly open with his life, explaining to us, really just, there were no secrets. He was just throwing everything our way so that as screenwriters we could go and sort of find the threads that we wanted to pull that we thought would have the most impact in this story. And his generosity with his time. But I would also say that extends even broader than that. We talked to his wife, we talked to his sons, we talked to his friends, and there was a constant refrain from these people.
I'll do anything for Roger.
Obvious love.
Anything for Roger.
Yeah, there was just so much love and respect for Roger and what he had done, both in what we show in the film, but much broader than that, truly. I mean, if he had just, our film is from essentially 1975 to 1976 up to the point of the hearing where he, it's all documented. I don't think I'm giving away anything here. Pinball is not illegal anymore, but he's able to prove that it's a game of skill and not chance, not just luck. But beyond that, he's had a whole life in pinball, and he's had a whole life with his family that he's built, and this larger pinball community, and people love the guy. It's constant, where we would call up someone and, we were trying to get pinball machines for the movie, which was hard, but we knew we had to get the pinball right. So we would called these people up and who's this for? Oh, we're doing a movie about Roger Sharpe. I do anything for Roger. What do you need? Where do you need it? Just tell me. I mean, it was constant, and people went above and beyond.
What do you think the modern day pinball community will feel about the movie?
Well, we did our best to get everything right. Okay. And then we put a lot of time and effort into making sure that we got the right machines at the right time. I have a feeling there's a pinball enthusiast who's going to slow down the tape and find something that's out of place, and I apologize. we tried our best, and we had a lot of good pinball experts on hand guiding our way.
Well, it definitely looks and sounds like a lot of hard work paid off. So I wanted to say that I really loved the retro aesthetic of the whole film. Can you tell us more of the inspiration that came from the costumes and the set designs?
Annie Simon was our costume department head, and she was fantastic. And really working with her, and she just came up with some amazing options for us. But I think one of the things that we really did, with Annie, with the art department, David, and the rest of the people of the art department, we had a color meeting very early on, and a tone meeting, and we had these comps. We knew what we didn't want, and we knew what we were, what sort of color and aesthetics we were after. Now, when you're in a sort of indie this size, you try to control as much as you can, and I think we did a pretty damn good job of it. I'm pretty impressed by what they were able to pull off.
One thing that was invaluable was the actual book that we see Roger and James creating in the movie. James Hamilton took all of these photos from that period, and they're in the movie, and they're these beautiful, gorgeous pictures of the time that really helped guide really all of our departments towards the aesthetic that we're looking for.
Yeah, we had that book, at least multiple copies of that book in multiple departments. People were constantly referencing it, using that as sort of a touchstone.
Did you guys have to train like the main characters to play pinball?
I don't know that we did any training. I know that Roger actually took Mike on set and gave him some pointers and tips. And it was also pretty clear that Mike had watched Roger play. There are some certain mannerisms to watching Roger Sharpe play pinball that Mike got down pretty well. I don't know that anybody on cast was a particular wizard.
Except
I know Toby got into it.
Toby got into it. I will say that most of the close-up shots of pinball, that's Roger actually playing. We had him actually hit the shots because we couldn't. And if we need to get a close-up shot of a ball hitting something, who better than, you got Roger Sharpe. Yeah. Why not ask him to get behind the cabinet and do it? So
what made you guys focus on a biopic film on Roger, on the history of pinball?
I don't think you can tell Roger's story without talking about the original ban and where that came from, because especially to modern audiences, it seems so bizarre that they would ban pinball of all things. And so I didn't think there was any way we were getting out of that without doing a little bit of a history lesson.
Yeah, and part of it was just having a great time with Roger on the phone, finding new avenues, when you make a documentary, it's almost like you're making a sculpture. You have a bunch of information and you're chiseling it down to what you need. And typically when you're writing a script, it's the opposite. It's like a painting and you're building something up. And this felt much more like a documentary. We had so much material, so many options to work with, because Roger was so open with his story and there were so many avenues we could have taken it, that I think it just became obvious and fun, and it was just it became obvious that we needed to do something, that we could do something, and it was just a really fun experience, trying to make each other laugh and smile and working in these Easter eggs for Roger. And it was I would say about 90% of the film is completely true as far as what happened to Roger during his life during this time. We compressed some dates, but otherwise it's pretty true. And then, we even correct the record a little bit at the end there. So
I want to know, what was like the biggest challenge in creating this production?
yeah, I think the biggest challenge is figuring out how you're going to convincingly portray a period within a budget, within an indie film budget. And hats off to the art department and the costumes and John King, who we haven't talked about, our DP, who really found ways to shoot things that were just really smart and beautiful. And that was probably the biggest challenge, just figuring out how, using our resources, could we best tell the story and convince people that we were in a certain time.
So what inspired you guys to get this story out to the public?
I think it just started with that first little anecdote, right? That first moment when you hear pinball was illegal, that's weird. And then you see this photo from 1976 of this guy, in a giant mustache playing pinball in front of all these stuck-up councilmen. I mean, it's bizarre. It's just a bizarre little anecdote. And that was the first spark that, we want to hear more about this. But the more you talk to Roger, the more fascinating his life is. And I think it just became this, there's so much depth there that we had no idea about. And I think there was just an urge to get that out there and, show what one person taking a risk can do.
Well, I loved it. I hope the audience loves it. And I can't wait for them to see it.
Hey, thank you so much.
You. I'm Austin Bragg.
And I'm Meredith Bragg. We are the Bragg brothers, the writers and directors of the feature film Pinball, The Man Who Saved the Game.
Please come support our film at the Newport Beach Film Festival this October.
We'd love to see you.